gang. For once I'm going to start a project and try and do the whole restoration, repair, analysis right on camera. Normally I do a lot. I either can't be bothered, honestly. It's a lot of work to set things up, and I really admire all the other sites that I visit and see all the effort that they go through in order to get the video shots set up. Not to mention, once they're all done with it, to take it back to the computer and do all the editing and posting and that. It's a lot of work. At any rate, generally I'm more interested in doing the restorations and repairs as opposed to videoing it, and that's why a lot of my videos are just shown after the fact. I have a few good projects going now. One that I'm actually looking at, which is just off camera here, and it's a tube stereo, monoblock power amplifier that's been rebuilt on the bones of about a 1949-1950 Westinghouse console radio record player. It was push-pull, and so therefore it has a reasonably beefy push-pull transformer on it. I cleaned up the chassis. I'll show it later anyway. I don't want to get in too much in it, and it's mostly done. I've got a few things to do, and I modified the heck out of it, which is what I do. Anyhow, this is not why I'm here. I'm here for this Dual 1007 or 1007. This was given to me as part of a Nordmendic console, and by a good friend of mine, and he politely delivered it to me, which was very nice. And what happened with it is that wherever it had been stored, their old particle board from the 60s is very good at absorbing moisture and turning into dust again. And I didn't really have the space and didn't want a console. So I pulled the electronics, the changer, and the speaker systems, which are all intact. I've been doing a lot of work on the chassis, modifying it, of course. It's AM/FM shortwave. I'm adding Bluetooth. I've already added a magnetic cartridge preamp for it, and it will go in a little tabletop case that I'll fashion once I can get back into my shop. But I've been having this fella on my mind. It's really early, basic Dual. It's not up to the normal standards of the 1009 or the 1200 series at all. But it's interesting, and let's have a look at it together. So, at any rate, this is the top. Stop button. Let's see if I can get tighter. Yeah. Stop button and speed, not speed selector. Oh, it's locked into something here. Can't move it. This is the record size selector, and it's also the start button. So as well as selecting the size when you can move it. I don't know what's going on there. And the, oh boy, that's, nope, not quite seized. And the speed selector for speed. The problem I'm going to have is twofold. This has an unusual, I don't know whether it's a dual designed, where are we here? A dual designed cartridge, or where it came from. Okay, if you can see that. So what it does is it rocks back and forth, and the Style-Eye has two jewels on it. One is microgroove and the other one is for 78. And if they're, no, okay, I can't really show that too well. Where are we? There it is. I don't know whether you can see the, it's easy to look up there, but it's sort of the stylus cantilever is bent, and depending on which way the lever goes, it will expose There we go. It will expose the right stylus to the groove. Interesting. I have no idea if they're still available. I have no idea whether this actually still works. It has the 3-pin DIN connector meant to go in the back, and of course that will be replaced. This will not accompany the receiver when the receiver's done. It will be a tabletop. So this one will be, if it's repairable and serviceable, it will probably just be hauled out for nostalgia's sake. The mat is, it's pliable, not too bad, but a lot of dust. The underneath is, cut the wire. Not sure what it's wired for. Now, if I wanted to upgrade to a magnetic cartridge, this presents a problem. This is a 2-pole motor, and it's still free, and it is it's good at radiating a lot of magnetic field. And for a ceramic cartridge, which is mostly immune to that, it doesn't really matter. But if you wanted to upgrade, and I'm not sure how I would upgrade this housing, that doesn't look like fun. Okay, if I was to upgrade to a magnetic cartridge, then it would have a hum problem. And, not sure. I can probably easier fit a ceramic cartridge in. They're not easy to come by. So, at any rate, that's the baby. So let's just see what we can see. Has the standard big old clip. It doesn't want to come out. Oh, there it is. And for once, I try and keep everything in one place so I don't lose them. Just the standard stamped platter. Nothing special there. Oh, okay. This is unusual for dual. Usually they have a stepped pulley and not a series of intermediate pulleys. You know, with a little surface remover, all of this rubber is still good. That's amazing, because this is, what, 61, 62. I'd have to check it out. And it's still pliable. I can't believe that. I'm not sure what the voltage has been set at. Now, surprisingly, if you can look at this, let's tighten that up. This will have something interesting to share with the video I've just done on that Perpetuum Ebner. They have their own slight different version of this gear drive with the eccentric cam. It's a cam, I guess, with the eccentric tracks in there that allow this to move back and forth. Now, even this one, I think I'll leave it for now. I have a complaint on the PE on how it was designed and how it was implemented. And even this relatively low-end changer is capable of handling the mechanism. I'll bet you dollars to donuts that if I can get this thing working, it will perform properly. Anyhow, let's see if I can hook up a power cord to it and see if it works. I'm just going to cut, oh boy, that's on tight. Cut this wire right off. Let's get that back. Cut this right off. Cut this right off. Oh, take that off first. Okay. And what do we got here? 110. It's on each end. So that is wired for 110. I'll fire up my iron. and unsolder that. Let's see if I can find the power cord that I can solder in place. I have tons of these things around here. There's one with a switch on it. Of course, all of these German stereos, pardon me, German speaking people. Radios, stereos, turntables, they're all a shock hazard. Believe me, if you're going to work on them, be very, very, very careful. I have been bitten more than once, and I know quite a few technicians who have in the past absolutely refused to work on them because you got to be careful. It's dangerous. On a standard radio chassis, there are probably a dozen different spots where the high voltage, like hundreds of volts, are exposed to be touched. And while working on my Nordmende Consulette, which is a Carousel, I had it on the chassis on the bench, and I thought I was being careful, and I actually injected myself with about 230 volts that runs the plates of the output tube. That voltage is available to be touched at the top side of the chassis, right in among where you're working. And I thought I was being careful, but there was a little pointy wire, and as I'm trying to do an alignment on it, I accidentally pushed this wire right under my skin. So I had a subcutaneous shock, which sent me flying actually against the back wall. Bang. And it was pretty scary, I'm telling you. So let that be a message. Well, we'll see what we can get here. Okay. Oops, try that. Oh, there we go. A little noisy. That damn motor's going. Holy moly. Okay, let's put the platter back on and see actually what it does. Contact. Well, it isn't doing much. Nope. Alright. Nope. Pardon me. Let's get this fella off. No, it's yeah. Okay, it's turning the pulleys. They seem to be that, but the idler's pretty bad. Okay, let me put everything on pause here, and I'll take the idler off and see what I can do. I may have to soak it for like 24 hours. I've got a little trick that somebody shared with me, and I really would like to thank them, but I don't remember where I got it from. You use brake fluid, and you soak the idler in the brake fluid for, oh, I don't know, 24 hours, whatever. Clean it all off. Scratch the surface away. I mean, if you've got a grinder, you can put it up against the grinder for a bit. Otherwise, you just use some emery cloth and clean it off as best, and make the surface of the idler dull, and you'll get that. So, let me proceed with that, and I'll be back. Okay, I'm back. I found limited information on this model, but it was quite sufficient, not for servicing, which I probably don't need, but for adjustments, which I wasn't familiar. So I found that on the side, where the the vertical bearing is. Now, let's see if I can move this in to the frame. This is going to get tight in here, but good. There is an opening. Where are we? Oh, we're at the wrong end. Sorry about that. Right there. Okay, and that apparently adjusts it. So I'll put it back. Alright, and I shall see if I can find the adjustment. Oh, it's going to require a thin bladed driver, of which I have a few. Not many. Oh dear. See if that'll do it. Okay, so I'm going to go counterclockwise by, oh dear, slip and slide. Oh, God. Okay, counterclockwise, about a quarter turn. Let's see what we get. Oh, I can tell it's lighter. It may be too much. Oh yeah, probably that's 3 grams. If we can go to 4, oh, well, one little turn and it's too much. Ah, still too much. Having trouble seeing down in this corner here. $4.27, $4.30. All right, not quite 4.5 grams. I don't think you can read that. Okay. Oh, so now it changed. Oh boy, that's really accurate. No, back to that. 4.25. Okay. I think it feels more like it too. Now the remaining question would be, does it actually track at that low weight? If it doesn't, it'll be a shelf queen, I think. Okay, get this darn turntable off. It's hard to fathom. Oh, oh my goodness. Do you see this? Somebody's idea of servicing. It's slick with oil. Oh, how does that fix anything? Don't you love amateurs? No, I'm not an amateur. I'm a retired professional. And if you believe that, yes, actually I am. I hate to say, well, no, I don't. I'm 76 years old. I have been in the business since I was 18. So you do the math. 76, 66, 64, no, 54. Oh, I don't know. Jeez, my math skills. Look at this. This is just horrendous. Hey, when a little oil works, a lot will work a lot better. Hey! I'm going to have to get some heavy grade industrial chemical going on here in order to desaturate it. No wonder the mat is pliable. It's saturated in oil. Holy cow. All right, well that's done. I'll clean the thing up. Well, I think that's all I want to do right now. I have to wait for this idler to try and soften. We'll see if that does it. And I'm going to try and just spin these fellas around. There's 4 of them. There's 4 speeds, so there's 4 interim pulleys. Is that what they call them? I don't know. and clean them up. They're very pliable, I'm amazed. I have my wonderful doggie sitting at my right side, reminding me very sweetly and very gently that it's time for dinner. Oh, it's past time for dinner. He's not going to let that go. Okay, well, I think I'm done with this for the day. We'll let the idler sit, and then I'll come back tomorrow and do a little more playing. I'll hook up a proper stereo lead to it so I can plug it into the amp, and if I can get it going, we'll just see if it'll play something reasonably. Okay, so we'll see you tomorrow. Okay, we're back again. It's been 24 hours, and the idler wheel has been soaking for all that 24 hours. So I'll haul the son of a gun out and wipe all the brake fluid off, and then we'll see how well the surface comes up. It's not taking a lot of the surface away. I need to actually, well, it's got a bit. Alright, in the meantime, off camera, I found that the motor is indeed sluggish. So I'll fumble around here and take the motor bearings out and clean them. They should be okay. Most dual bearings, motor bearings, are good to go once they're clean. Now I've just put some methyl hydrate on the paper towel, and we're scraping off more. Now, you know, if you can get a look at that, I didn't show you before, but this idler wheel was as shiny as all get out, all glazed, and it hardly had any traction. Now, in softening for 24 hours in that magic solution, if you can get a glimpse of that, that is soft. What a way to restore an idler, to have to send them out and rebuild them. There's nobody, I believe, in Canada that does it, I believe. So it has to be sent to the States, and it's an expensive venture, and you wouldn't want to do it with anything but a very good quality turntable. Certainly not a so-called bottom feeder like this. Alright, so if I can now back this off again, start taking the motor apart. Nope, that comes apart pretty easily. Expose the bearings. It's dry, that's for sure. We'll get some more Q-tips and some more methyl hydrate and see what we can find. The motor shaft looks pretty good. Gee, it's not bad inside there. I'm not pulling out a lot. The bearing's just dry, I think. Maybe it's the top bearing that's the problem. I don't know. Well, that should be the fun thing, to get that apart. Okay, so I have to take these two bolts off. Oh dear, it's tough. Of course, the European standard for slot, oh my goodness, Oh, here we go. Okay, it won't budge. Time to get out the heat gun and see what we can do. And on we go. I've already rounded off the slot. This works fairly well for a lot of situations. Now, wish me luck. Oh, pardon me, I got my head in the slot, but it worked. And I've got to try the same on the other side. I'll try without. Yep, it's stuck too. Yeah. Oh, it's stubborn. Oh no, there it goes. Free at last. Okay. Oh, that standoff is. What? Oh, sorry, I missed a third and a fourth. Okay, I better mark this. This be bottom, in case I put it in upside down and it runs backwards. Oh, that's free. Okay. Are they all the same bolts? Nope. The back ones are longer. And they come apart nicely. The laminations are a bit rusty, but that never seemed to bother anything. Oh, good. And that comes apart. Yeah, I don't know, can you see that? The copper, whatever they call those things, I forget now. The, gee, I have forgotten. Anyhow, they're all corroded, so this has been stored nastily. Okay, so now I have access to this bearing. And I can't pull it off. Yeah, that is a sleeve. I guess that's a 60 cycle sleeve on there. So the best I can do is to saturate the bearing with some methyl hydrate and run it around. Are we in frame? Let's back this off so you can see. More methyl hydrate, please. Okay. Try and flush anything out. I think basically it flies. It's okay. I would like to get it out and flush out anything that's in there. But you know, that bearing, it spins okay. Q-tip. You know, neither top nor bottom bearing is really presenting with any dried up oil or anything in there. So we'll just add some oil. Try and fill that well. And put some in from the top. Spin it around. Put it back, and we've got our two standoffs. Now, I don't remember which was which. darn. Okay. And that goes back on there. I need that one. We'll just sort of saturate that with, oops. Maybe I should put the bolts back in first. Well, that doesn't go. Well, heck. What have we got here? Let's have a look. They're different thread. Yeah, isn't that weird? Okay, and put that in. I hope I'm catching this all on camera. And I'll tighten it all up later. Okay. Or tighten it up now. What do you think? Okay. Now here's where I should have taken pictures. That just goes on there, that goes on there, that goes on there. Did I do that right? Probably not. It's not sitting. Properly. Pardon me while I go off camera and curse. There we go. Now, did I put that in the right spot? No, I didn't. Okay, so I can stay on camera and curse. They go here. I believe. Okay. Get them a little tighten. This is wiring to the motor is there. Being difficult. There we go. And put those two back there. Usually, change your manufacturers more recently, if I'm not mistaken. I'll put only 3 bolts in. And this one has 4. Let's see if I've got the bearings oriented properly so I can actually spin. Oh, no way. The motor is tight. It does not go into that bottom bearing part of it. I wonder why. Possibly I put too much oil in? I don't know. Take those back out. And see what's happened. That's spinning properly. Oh, I see. It's I have put too much oil in. It's really tight in there. That spins properly. Let's see if we can dig out some of the oil. Oh, that's better right off the bat. I may just power it up and see if it will self-align. I'm going to show you if the turntable spins with our home remanufactured. All right. Home remanufactured idler. Now I've gotten contamination on these things. I'll make sure my wiring isn't shorted. I'll put it in my current limited power supply, as Paul Carlson refers to his setup in his shop. Okay. Not spinning. Where are we? We're at plenty of voltage. Wow. That is tough. See, the armature is right forced up. Doesn't want to move. Oh yeah, it's tight in there. So what has happened? Nope. She's jammed in there. Isn't that funny? Well, I think I'll sort of figure this out off camera. I'll be back when I get it straightened out. Okay, I'm back. I've jumped ahead because I found out through much messing around what the problem was, and I think I either caused it or contributed to the problem. But I was trying to get the cap off the, maybe I can show this, off the bottom of the motor. Tighten things up. Come on, that's it. Bearing. it didn't want to come out, but I wiggled it back and forth. And I think I distorted or bent or something the bearing, that's the bronze bearing that was in that. And when you put it together, the bearing was not aligned with the shaft, and it bound and wouldn't let it turn. I wiggled it, and once I realized that might be a possibility, I took this bracket off and I looked at it, and I had to try and figure out which way I had torqued it and try and torque it the other way. And either I would fix it or I would mess it up and have to look for another motor or trash the turntable. And fortunately for me, I torqued it in the right direction, and it now works. So I've got everything working on it, but it is not a turntable of good record playing capabilities. First of all, the cartridge works, the stylus is good, but it looks like the cartridge is 60 years old, and that means all the positional brackets that are made out of some kind of gummy material have hardened over 60 years, and why wouldn't it? I mean, really. And it sounds terrible, it's distorted, doesn't track very well, and if I increase the tracking to about 10 grams, it starts to sound good, but I am not going to do that and play any records I have with 10 grams of tracking, with the exception of 78s. And I do have 78 dedicated record players, so I'm not going to do that. So I looked up for replacement ones. There are no new ones that fit this, and this is a model CDS 520-3 cartridge, and it's that rocking back and forth cartridge. I have my doubts if I was to spend something like $100 for a replacement cartridge that is basically, 20, 30, 40 years old, how much better off am I? So it'll either be a shelf queen, I'll clean it up and put it there and pat it every once in a while when I go by, or maybe bring it down and play a 78 on it or something like that. The only other option I have is to remove this cartridge and its bracket assembly inside and mount either a very inexpensive magnetic cartridge, and I think I mentioned before that a magnetic cartridge with a 2-pole motor represents a big hazard of hum to an unhappy degree, or a reasonably priced replacement ceramic cartridge that I would have to find a way to mount in there, because this mounting bracket system for this is totally not compatible with new stuff. Pardon me. The other thing is, while everything works, that idler is absolutely magnificent. 24 hours soaking in the brake fluid and then subsequent cleaning, it grabs and has lots of torque. The other problem that remains to be seen, I mean, I have to clean it. I mean, the grease is still the old, and it still works, but it needs to be cleaned out. But when you go to start it, it doesn't want to, oh, pardon me, turn the power on would help. Doesn't want to start. Well, heck, it doesn't want to start at all. There we go. So there's something about the power switch latch. Now I have a record here that's going to get hit with copyright if I let it play. But as you can see, it plays. Now, changing the records in that, it's fine because the power is already on the on the motor. The mechanism is working fine, and it plays fine. So, in order to be able to use it, its tracking is below quality for even the 1010, and certainly below the 1009. So this just adds to my collection. I have this 10,007. I have a 1010. I have 1209. I've got 1214s. I've got a 1216. My 1229, which I have a video on, I've sold and that's gone. I've got enough dual turntables. So what I do with this, I just wanted to do it and get it going. So we'll see. I hate having shelf queens. I like having something that actually works, and to have this play even my older selection of records, and install it in a radio or a combination or some such thing. It would be nice to have it working. So I may in fact try and make a bracket and fit that in there. The only other thing I wanted to show is in reference to the last video I put in with the Perpetuum Ebner, the PE, and I was disappointed in that, and let me turn that off and then turn this over. Now there is, the PE has very similar, and it's together now so I can't really show you, but there is this bracket that does two things. First of all, as the gear turns, that is forced up on this end, pushes this, and that lifts the tone arm. And that's the same with the PE, although the bracket is a little bit different in shape. And it follows this eccentric path and then moves the tone arm back and forth. Picks it up at the end, moves it to the beginning, shuts it off, or brings it over to the start of the next record. All of this is done by that. Now, even in this, which is a basic dual turntable, this pin that rides in the groove is either stainless steel or chromium plated, and it follows that groove very easily. Whereas in the PE, which supposedly it was pretty high end, it's a 3015, this is just a piece of like pot metal, white metal, and the end is not a polished piece of chrome or anything. It's just part of the potted metal, and it relied on a rubber little grommet, little piece that goes over the end of the tab to ride there. And of course, after 60 years, it's perished. The same thing with the piece on this end, and the raw metal was digging in to the groove, which created problems. So you can't get parts for these things anymore, so I was left with creating something, and I tried a Stewart pimple which fit on it, and it worked quite well. But unfortunately, Stewart pimples are very fragile in themselves. They're very soft, and it went through 2 or 3 cycles and then it disintegrated. So I had to come up with something better, or something more robust but yet fit in. This groove is only so wide, and I did come up with something, and it works, and I was surprised that it actually does work. But it's a disappointment in a turntable that was so supposedly high end, and I think I did show the quality of the platter and how it was cast and how it was balanced. It was a disappointment in that way. I know I expect a lot for turntables that are 60 years old, but you know, I like to keep these things going. But that's my only reference back to that. So this is basically working. I need a better power cord than that, and I have to fix something that's in this latching system, and when you press the start, it's supposed to let this switch turn on. And the only way it acts up is when it's upside down. So that means I've got to put it up on something high and get my head underneath it. And I'll do that before I'm finished. I'll clean it up and get it ready. Somewhere I've got the deck board for it. 1, 2, 3 mounts there. Oh, there's a 4th one that's maybe missing. I'm not sure. And I'll clean up the deck and it'll be ready to go. And I've got some ceramic cartridges on order, and so when I get back to it, I'll give it a thought as to whether I change that cartridge for something newer, so it at least sounds a bit better for playing some of my records. And if I do, I'll put it on the bench and I'll show you how it's operating at that point in time. And I guess that's that for this one. Turn it back over. Show everybody the top and all that stuff. It's a little dirty still, but hey, I can clean that up. Nobody needs to see me sit here with scrubbing brush. I have little toothbrushes and all this stuff to do that in order to get that playable. It's a cute little one. I've seen these before. These were probably in every other German stereo combination. They were very inexpensive, I guess, and they worked well enough at the time. And actually, the fidelity of a new version of this cartridge probably sounds pretty reasonable for the expectations of the 60s with a combination unit. So, anyway, so that's it. I find my remote control, and I'll get this all up, and we'll get it online. And everybody have a good rest of the day. Thanks a lot for watching.